Welcome back to The Hell With This. This is Mark Heiliger, and with me today is Ashley Long. We have done this before together with Earth Girls Are Easy, and now you're back.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just love spending time with me.
Yeah. Well, I better, right?
Yeah. Chad is... I don't even know where Chad is right now. I think he's out of the state or something at the moment. So we're doing this without him. Gotta keep pushing forward. We have had a busy morning. We have been dealing with foster cats and adopting them out and all kinds of fun stuff.
Spay and neuter your pets, people.
Yeah, I know we're not reaching as many people as Bob Barker did, but it's important. Spay and neuter your pets.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason the pounds are full of animals is because idiots think that neutering their pets is gonna ruin them somehow or make them less fun. Or, I don't know, it'll take away the innate catness of their cat.
Well, some people are just deadbeats and don't want to fucking pay for it. And there are plenty of free places to do it, so that's no excuse.
Yeah. Lots of programs to help people cover the costs. And, I don't know, there's just no excuse. It really pisses me off when I see all these stray kittens being brought in and puppies and whatever that really shouldn't exist in the first place.
So there's a little 12-week-old foster kitten running around this room right now. If the equipment suddenly goes dead, that probably means she stepped on the power strip.
But yeah, she's not making a lot of noise, so she's fine for now. What are we watching today?
We're watching an old favorite of mine, Legend.
The Ridley Scott film.
Yes. Very young Tom Cruise. Tim Curry as arguably the most iconic, impressive incarnation of Satan ever put on film, in my opinion.
I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid in full, so I don't even know what to expect anymore. All I remember is Tim Curry. Mm-hmm. And that Sara is in it, playing a princess or some shit. She's the one. She's the girl from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Yeah, she played Sloane.
Did she really do much aside from this and that?
No, I just looked at her credits beforehand, and she, the last thing she did was a short film in 2013.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not a ton of stuff.
I feel like, honestly, she's probably the worst thing about this movie, but there's a lot of other great, visual effects, fantasy, eye candy stuff. I mean...
Is that why it's a favorite of yours, purely for that? Do you care about the story at all?
It's a fine story. I don't think it's a new story by any means. It's a rescue mission, sort of a damsel in distress thing. So it's not unique in that way, but I think all the creaturey stuff, when I saw it the first time as a little kid, it was my family was on vacation in Colorado. We had a cabin rented and turned on the TV. We're eating popcorn, like those old Jiffy Pops, around the TV in this cabin, and that was on. And I remember, the unicorns are amazing, and the devil was amazing, and it was all just we came in halfway on the film, and I just remembered going, what is this? What is this? And wanting to be able to watch the full thing, and so to see it then later in life and actually understand what the fuck is going on, and be able to appreciate all that makeup and effects and design and all that stuff as an adult is really cool for me. Mm-hmm. So, regardless of it being sort of a tale as old as time, I think it's a pretty decent movie with a lot of things to appreciate.
Okay. The only thing I remember besides Tim Curry as the devil, or Darkness as he is called in this movie, is in Blade Runner, my favorite movie of all time, and we just did a Blade Runner 2049 podcast a couple weeks ago. The director's cut of Blade Runner uses extra B-roll footage of the unicorn from this movie in a dream sequence.
Okay.
Ridley Scott went back to recut Blade Runner for some reason. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, I gotta get this unicorn footage in. I just feel it in my bones. Mm-hmm. And that's what kind of gave birth to the entire director's cut movement. As an idea, director's cuts were never released for mainstream audiences before that. So this movie has that going for it. Yeah, it's place in history.
In a weird way, kicked off a trend.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should just get to it. It's about 90 minutes long. Let's watch it.
Bye!
am the Lord of Darkness. I require the solace of the shadows and the dark of the night. Sunshine is my destroyer. All this shall change. Tonight, the sun sets forever. There shall never be another dawn. Enter! Blix, come closer. Are you not the most loathsome of my goblins?
Truly, Master.
And is your heart black and full of hate?
Black as midnight, black as pitch, blacker than the foulest witch.
Something troubles me. I feel a presence in the forest. A force I had mercifully almost forgotten.
Must be dread indeed to trouble you, Lordship.
Looking upon these frail creatures, one would not think that they could contain such power. One could rule the universe with it. You must find them for me, and destroy them!
What do they look like, Lord?
Fool! Let this serve to remind you. They are each crowned with a single horn reaching straight to heaven.
I get the point, Lord.
Bring the horns to me.
Where should I look, sire?
There is only one lure for such disgusting goodness. One bait that never fails.
What be this bait? Please, you teach me.
Innocence. Innocence.
Gonzo. All right, now we've got a different cat in the room, and he's hungry. Meh. This, I have to say, is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen.
Really?
This is just bizarre. Like it feels like somebody who has not ever been human made this movie. Like the people don't act like people. The fantasy stuff, like it feels like a kid's movie that was made way too dark by Ridley Scott. I don't know. It's like all the different parts of it are not coming together very well for me.
Well, I guess
like
I can see
all the
what you
monsters
mean.
and stuff are cool. Like I was surprised to see Rob Bottin's name in the opening credits. He's the guy who did the makeup on The Thing, John Carpenter movie. Kind of a groundbreaking makeup artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm not surprised that the stuff in this movie is so good because he did it. Like Meg, the swamp witch monster thing, played by Robert Picardo. That was a really cool looking monster. Kind of, they didn't do much with her. Honestly, she pops up, she threatens Tom Cruise for a second, and then she gets her head chopped off. They could have. I feel like they could have done more.
I guess I feel like I hear what you're saying about it feeling like a kid's movie that sort of went the wrong direction or something.
Yeah.
I guess I'm viewing it as an old school fairy tale, like where it's a quest and there's all these little sort of vignettes, all these little individual challenges or monsters you meet or things like that. And like a lot of times in those old stories, it sort of doesn't fucking make any sense, or they don't string together. It's not a logical build, like a video game where, oh, we're going to meet a friend and now we're going to meet a mini boss and then we're going to meet a big boss. Like kind of was all over the place.
Yeah, I couldn't really follow the plot, and I was paying attention.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how they got from one place to the next and why. There wasn't a great through line for me, but you're right. It does feels like a grim fairy tale that was lost to the ages, and they kind of like pieced it back together.
Yeah, because I think if you look at it that way, it also helps me sort of forgive Mia Sara's just like her performance makes me want to throw up. Like all of her princessy like garbage,
talking to the animals,
well, like
singing songs to the unicorns.
Every time I'm confronted with a problem, I'm gonna sing. Shut up! Like it's just awful. But I think all that kind of wide-eyed, coy, kind of spoiled brat princess behavior. I mean, that is very old fairy tale, and so is she a terrible actress?
Or is she just a terrible character?
It's like, yeah. It's like, can I say, oh, she was awful in this? I don't know if I can say that because I think that was the character.
Yeah.
Like, she is a millennial brat of a princess.
In the beginning of the movie, she's like, first time we see her, she is literally like running through a meadow picking flowers. Like, how stereotypical can you get? And then the first thing after that we see her do is she goes to like I don't know if they're peasants or whatever, but friends of the family or something. She's like, oh, I love hanging out with you guys. But the scene right before that, she like undid one end of the clothesline where this lady was hanging up her
she was kind of
laundry, and it's like, that's a dick move, dude.
Yeah, like I guess I don't know whether that was just supposed to give us an early taste of her rebellious streak. Or something.
Like, it would be one thing if she popped up and said, like, ha, I got you. Just kidding. Here, let me help you clean up. But no, she fucked up her clean laundry and ran away.
Yeah. I mean, she fucked up everything in this movie. And
Tom Cruise, he plays like some sort of a forest man.
Yeah.
Or a boy.
Yeah.
He's probably 20 years old at the time. And he brings her to a secret clearing to see like the last 2 unicorns on the planet, apparently.
Well, I don't know if they're talking about them as the last 2 or that's like the only 2 and they just live forever. I don't think they really talk about them as a species. It's just, this is it.
Right. I get, yeah.
But I don't know.
But of course, she can't just obey the rules and like, look, don't touch. She's got to run out there and be like, I need to touch them. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
And they sound like whales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there is something too when she's like, I didn't know that was a rule. Like, yeah, I guess no. But to be fair, nobody said that out loud ever before. Now, after you fucked everything up, but yeah, I mean that again. It's just another kind of buy with the whole folklore, like, oh, it's forbidden and everybody fucking knows it but you, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot about the movie that if we're critiquing it based on the aesthetic of modern filmmaking, doesn't work or isn't entertaining or doesn't make sense or something. But
maybe it's not entertaining and maybe it doesn't make sense, but I like it anyway.
I guess it was entertaining enough for me because if it doesn't entertain, I don't deal with it. But but if you think of it more storybook as the framework, I guess it works better, or you can forgive more.
Yeah, you had a lot of notes. What did you want to talk about?
I didn't have a lot of notes. We talked about Lily and how awful she is. What always bugged me, even as a kid, was the weird pitching stuff they were doing with characters' voices.
Oh yeah, I did want to talk about
the dwarves, the elves, and what bugged me the most, even as a little kid, was that Blix, like the head goblin, sounded almost exactly like Gump. They were so close. Like, one's a little more slithery than the other, but it was like the weird pitching thing.
Yeah, I think
like that always felt like ADR, or it always felt like this actor's voice was so awful, this is what we had to do, and it's always been very distracting to me.
Well, I mentioned when we were watching, there's always like tons of shit blowing in the air. And it's purely a visual thing. Ridley Scott does that a lot. It's always raining, or there's bubbles being blown, or there's smoke, etc. Or just like weird pollen stuff when they're in the forest. Gonzo. This is Gonzo's tag. You're hearing rattle. Can you get the fuck off of me? No. We are recording. You agreed that we would have free podcast time without you bothering us, and now you're here.
It's dinner time.
Anyway, when they do all those like effects in the scene, that stuff makes noise. Even a bubble machine will make some noise because they have a fan to blow it around.
Yeah.
The fire in the background. So yeah, like it feels like 95% of the movie is ADR'd, and all the characters except Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, and the other human lady doing the laundry at the beginning. Except for those three people, everybody else has their voice altered in some way.
Yeah, there's an effect on it.
Yeah. And who's the guy from Malcolm in the Middle? What's the actor's name?
Oh, I'm totally Frankie Muniz?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
They got Frankie Muniz's dad, maybe. I don't know. Guy who looks just like Frankie Muniz to be this elf guy, or he's like a faun.
Yeah, he's kind of like a faun, pan, that kind
He's
of...
a spirit of the woods, kind of, with a violin, and he likes riddles and shit. They didn't even use like a kid's voice. That kid looked like he was 14 years old, and they apparently got I don't know who, but it sounded like it could have been a female actress to do his voice.
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of like they do in cartoons sometimes when they want a younger character, they'll get a woman to do it.
They want. Well, specifically, women get hired to do little boys in animation. Men always get hired to do old women.
Really?
Like
get that like...
Yeah, like not 100% of the time, but
Yeah.
that's like kind of the way things veer. Like I don't know why you wouldn't cast a little girl as a little girl or an old woman as an old woman, but it's funnier, I guess. It plays funnier, definitely, with men playing old women.
I think they, except for some movies where they can really go through the casting process, I think on TV, they don't want to dick around with some actual child in the recording booth.
Well, sometimes children sound weird. I've been on shows where you do bring in a real kid, and sometimes they just don't even know how to handle inflection.
Exactly.
Or, like, you can't direct a kid sometimes.
They can read words off the page, but they don't know how to say them.
Read it like you're really afraid. They don't know what to do.
Right.
Sometimes.
But yeah, the ADR alone made a lot of characters hard to understand.
Or just less believable.
Less believable. Yeah, it takes you out of it in one way or another.
Yeah.
And like, there's this, was she a fairy? The little like Tinkerbell thing that becomes big, like Julia Roberts and Hook?
Yeah.
She's a fairy. I don't know where she came from. I don't know how she's involved with this band of characters. But suddenly she's demanding that Tom Cruise kiss her or she won't help them.
Well, she was when they first confronted Jack, she was just part of their band of people.
Oh,
she
that
was
big
there.
Crowd of all those forest nymphs
I mean,
and stuff.
I guess we don't get an explanation as to why she's hanging out with Gump or any of these guys, but we don't get an explanation for a lot of things in this movie. We don't get an explanation for why Forest Boy is hanging out with a princess. Like, how did they meet? Why is this a thing?
Well, she seems to be learning how to talk to the animals through him, but I don't know why.
Right. And
she's a princess of what? Where's her parents letting her just run off into the woods?
Very unclear about the nature of their relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like
just a lot.
Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, one of them's way more into it than the other one. I'm not sure.
Well, you like another movie about unicorns, The Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
That's an animated movie. Between this and that movie, which one is more like iconically about unicorns? What is the ultimate vision of unicorns in movies for you?
Well,
what do you think of when you think of unicorns?
This I don't really think of the unicorns immediately when I think of this movie. They are almost a side note in this movie. The Last Unicorn is about
the
unicorns and the fate of all unicorns resting on one, and so that's more. I mean, certainly a lot of people have their own problems with that movie, but that one is definitely more focused on the unicorn specifically, and I would think of it first for that reason.
Wasn't there a cartoon called Rainbow Bright?
Yeah, but
didn't she have a robot unicorn, or was that just a horse?
She has a horse with a rainbow mane, but it's not a unicorn. And the robot thing sounds familiar, but I don't know what the hell that is.
Well, I thought the horse was like a rocket horse. Like the hooves were, the legs didn't move. It was just like a ship that she rode around on.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember if that's Rainbow Bright or something else. Like I can sort of picture the robot horse, but I don't remember.
The 80s.
If that like was an evolution.
There were too many weird
the horse got
combinations of robots and horses. We can't even keep them straight.
Yeah, the horse got hit by a train and we transplanted its consciousness into a robot.
Robo horse.
I don't know. What is really great about this movie is the makeup. I mean, the makeup effects, the costume work on this, you'd be hard pressed to find better even now. This movie is 30-some years old.
Like, you can look at Darkness, the devil guy, be like, damn, they got like a bodybuilder to play that role because his arms are huge and everything. But no, it's all just built up around Tim Curry, who I can't even detect his face in the makeup. You seem to be able to. Yeah. But I'm like, that's so good. The actor is gone. Is completely a new person for me.
Yeah, well, even the more minor goblins and things, it's thought out. It's like clearly a concept designer and the makeup people, like they have a cohesive idea for this pig person or this goblin or this fairy or whatever. It all feels, that part of the movie feels very, very real, as do the sets. Probably because back then sets were real. Yeah. Like
some of them you could totally tell there was just a backdrop. Like the wall was about 10 feet behind the actors and that sort of stuff.
Sure. But I mean, there was so much, there's just so much atmosphere in some of these places. The rolling fog, everything that's sparkling, the sparkling rocks and just decadent, everything.
I think that's what Ridley Scott brought to the table. Like he's not as obsessive about certain things as David Fincher or Alfred Hitchcock was, but he's always had this thing, like even in Alien, his first movie, he wanted it to feel like an oil rig in space. And what he did was make a sci-fi movie that had a completely different environment than anything that came before. Felt real. Had all the details accounted for. And in this movie, it's like, I remember an early scene when the goblin Blix, he walks into the Darkness's like office or whatever, and there is not only a raging fire that the camera pulls back from, there's all this fog whipping along the floor at like a really high speed, and I'm like, what is the camera trick they're using here? It was no trick, they just did that. They just had a bunch of dry ice and blew it around.
A shit ton of dry ice. I mean, it was thick.
Like
the rolling a lot of those opening shots, even just over the credits, the
bear
forest
getting
stuff.
honey.
All that stuff it's very haunting and it's very tangible, and it's, the swamp, real water, holy shit. Like, I feel like people don't fuck with real water now. They just CG everything.
Yeah, it can cause too much damage. Apparently the set did burn down at one point. They had to stop filming. Ooh. Nobody was hurt, as far as I know, but yeah. Had a lot of fire on this set.
Yes.
A lot of little explosions.
That is very true. I guess that is the cost. But, I think it's just, you can't beat the atmosphere of a real set. Especially, I think, for something like a fantasy film.
And, this is before the golden age of CG, which I guess we're still in. But the only things that were faked were the little Tinkerbell girl.
Sure.
The little dot kind of zipping around, but they still managed to like have a light on set when it was flying around Tom Cruise's face as he's sleeping on the ground. Like, his face lights up. That's not an optical effect. That was somebody shining a light on his face.
Right, yeah.
And then when she was like flying through all the halls near the end, part of the big climax of waking the guy up upstairs, that was an effect, but pretty much everything in this movie was for realsies. It's impressive.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else. I had completely forgotten the fact that the director's cut does not include the music by Tangerine Dream.
Yeah.
Which I was
kind of looking forward to hearing that, and it wasn't even on this cut.
I guess I find it superior maybe only because that was the way I first viewed it, but especially for the scene when the black sparkly dress is dancing around with Sara trying to lure her in.
So that was...
For that one, I feel like the Tangerine Dream music was so much better. This was just the music that's in there in the director's cut is, I don't know if I want to say it's taking itself too seriously, but it's just kind of boring.
Yeah. So that scene was supposed to be an empty dress dancing with her.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a person. They can't make an empty dress dance back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But you could see somebody's head just wearing like a black
sleeve
over it. Yeah. And I thought there was going to be some big reveal that it was somebody else that darkness had captured. But no, it was just a dress that like possessed her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dancing dress.
Yeah. Pretty much just a living dress, I believe, is the idea.
Like the devil's whole plan was you have to seduce her, you have to make her one of us, make her a dark one or something. And then that happened in one scene with a magical dress. Like she wasn't tempted really by anything. She found all the sparkly diamonds and kind of looked at them and immediately threw them away. Mm-hmm. Like it was not much of a plan.
Well, she didn't become one though. I mean, even when she was dressed up,
it worked for a second.
She wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it was like, I don't know. He was throwing out all the tricks, I guess, all the dating tricks, and it wasn't working.
I really like the sequence where he steps out of the mirror right after she gets the dress on. Yeah. I think you watched the movie Prince of Darkness with me. I don't know if you remember it really. It's a John Carpenter movie. We did a podcast on it.
I don't remember.
But it's a similar thing. Like the bad guys in Prince of Darkness they're being possessed by evil to basically bring the Prince of Darkness to Earth, and he comes through mirrors, and he reaches through just like that. I don't know which one came out first. This was 86. That one was probably 87, 88. So they may have ripped off the idea from Legend. Yeah. But it was really cool just seeing like the hooves step through and the arms reach through. And again, not CG. They had to do that with like on film.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be worth looking into. That could be a folklore thing there, like for it to have appeared in multiple places, like something like evil being able to pass through mirrors or things like that.
Silver of glass.
I mean, have you ever remember that place, the Museum of Jurassic Technology?
Yeah, we've been there.
By my old place. Yeah. Like I know there was a piece of an exhibit in there, and it had it was all these things you're supposed to do when someone dies, you know, and like covering up mirrors is something.
Oh, yeah. I guess I've heard of that.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that is not just, oh man, you know, it would look cool, but it might have some root in...
some sort of archetypal meaning behind it.
Yeah, yeah. Something to do with the underworld. Something to do with how... spirits are evil or something, or the dead can travel or something like that. So that might be why you've seen it more than one place.
You got anything else on your list? I'm kind of coming up empty.
I like everything that's sparkly.
Oh yeah, everybody, all the humans at least, everybody has got glitter on their cheeks. Yeah, like everybody's sparkly. Not quite as bad as Twilight, I guess, but
well, that's just a one-up. You've clearly not seen Twilight. That's just a one-scene thing. That's not a...
Yeah, I know that.
That's not an always thing.
That's what happens when they go in the sun, right?
Tom Cruise is wearing more glitter than a stripper in this movie.
Maybe Tom Cruise was a stripper at the time.
Maybe. He
was his first career.
He was kind of wearing a skirt in this.
Yeah, hot pants.
Showing a lot of leg.
With a loincloth.
Yeah, he was... Ridley Scott was down with the glitter on this.
Yeah, and I think it's just another one of those things that makes it feel magical, like a fantasy fairy tale.
Yeah.
But when I see that, I can see what the intention is, and I still just go, fuck, that's a lot of glitter.
Yeah.
I only see the glitter. I don't see what he's trying to do with the glitter.
Oh, I see what he's trying to do. I guess I see what he's trying to do. Yeah. For me, I guess this is a movie sort of in the vein of Jim Henson's Dark Crystal, where
another one that I just don't get.
Like it's not a popcorn film, but a lot of times Dark Crystal I get about halfway through and I have to turn it off because I got other shit I have to do today.
Well, like talk about a movie that takes itself too seriously. I feel like Dark Crystal is all about itself.
you watch
Oh my
it.
god, these puppets.
You watch it to be wowed by the craft of it. You watch it to be wowed by the visuals and maybe some certain character performances. But, you know, just like this film, like Tim Curry, like I could watch that character all day. Like he's great.
And he's not even into that much.
Yeah.
I think I was just reading trivia before we started recording. The horns and the facial makeup that Tim Curry had to be in was so extensive that one day he got claustrophobic in the makeup and he started kind of like tearing it off himself without letting the makeup people do it carefully. And along with the spirit gum, he took some of his own skin.
Yuck. Yeah.
And that was sort of that was a moment where Ridley Scott went, okay, we can't do that every day, so why don't we keep your character hidden in the shadows for the first 2 acts of the movie and only reveal him at the end? So he only had to do that for like a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. That makes that. All right.
Yeah. So there were only like a handful of scenes with darkness in his full glory.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an amazing look, and you know, it's the kind of thing that I would love to think I could find a way to cosplay it, like do an interpretive cosplay of it.
I think they had a whole team for that. You're not going to be able to do that.
There's no fucking way that a single person could do it justice, you know, without like paying for expensive prosthetics and things to be made. So it's like, nope, not going to touch it. My devil onesie from Target is the closest I'm ever going to get to doing that costume.
Clearance Halloween supplies.
Yeah, it was, yeah. But I think this is one that you have to enjoy more for the craft of it.
Yeah.
And maybe nostalgia plays a role in whether or not you'd watch it again. But I still say not a bad film.
Okay. I guess it's not an awful film, but it's not one I ever really need to see again, now that I've done it all in one sitting, finally. It is kind of strange, like, this is 85, 86. Tom Cruise was pretty hot shit at the time. Wasn't Top Gun coming out around then, too? And, like, Risky Business had come and gone. He was a star at this point.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel like a star role. He's the hero of the story, but he doesn't, like... He's not all that clever, really. He's not all that strong or fast. Or he can do some wicked backflips.
His stunt double could do some wicked backflips.
The character.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I was just reading in the trivia that he didn't care for the American cut of the film and didn't really talk about it a lot back then. And so maybe it was a role he signed on for thinking it was going to come out much differently. Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's...
I wonder what he thinks of the director's cut, which we just watched.
Well,
now I'll have to compare it. Now we got to watch the theatrical cut.
Well, it said that he would recommend the director's cut over the American, but honestly, I don't know. I don't think they're so different.
There's 20 minutes of new stuff in the director's cut.
I can't imagine that 20 minutes is like...
I don't know if it's just like more montage material or what.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically, but it's not like, shit, this is a different film.
Yeah.
This is brilliant compared to what I watched on TV as a kid. I don't know.
You missed the Tangerine Dream.
I do. I want it back. I'm going to YouTube it right after we stop this.
I'm going to get you the soundtrack for Christmas. All right, I think that does it for us tonight. Thanks for listening, gang, and we'll catch you next time.